Yes, and we need all the session leaders up on stage, the facilitators. You should have your reports with you printed out, or however you're going to present it. So all the facilitators to the stage, please. We can get everybody in from the outside to listen to this final General Assembly and the reporting from each of the breakout sessions. Liliana, where's Liliana? Come on up, Liliana. Who's that? Leo? Is that everybody? Me too. I think that, I know initially we said that we were going to have 10 minutes for a breakout session for the final report, but if we could do it between 5 and 7 minutes so that we can have a little discussion afterwards, some people recommended that we do that. I think it would be good. And I think there's a mic on there. You can do it right from the table if you like. Or if somebody wants to use the podium, they can come up here, just kind of speak into the mic a little bit also. Are we ready, facilitators? Come on, Neil. Can we do it in any order?
All right, so I'm going to be facilitating this part of this. Thank you guys for standing toward the end of this whole process. It's been an extremely crucial day to get everything done. We're about to hear what these 8 different committees have come up with. So I'm going to start here. We're going to go down the line with Leo. Pretty much.
Quiet. And please speak into the mic so we can all hear it. I know this one's kind of low, but we might need to speak down a little bit.
I couldn't hear you, Rich.
So I don't have a mic.
And so I was in the middle school session. I'm gonna be honest with you, we didn't do a lot of discussion. We didn't talk about the textbook at all. We didn't do much talking about legislation and formalized curriculum. Our discussion kind of revolved around the students themselves and the parents. And so the 2 big things that we came out of there with was engaging the parents and getting them involved. And the other aspect of that was to create a critical multicultural component to into lesson plans. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the parent involvement. Some of the things that we mentioned to kind of get them involved was to try to make them part of the planning process, right? First of all, reaching out to them and trying to get them involved with the school itself, because one of the discussions that was going on was about how parents themselves feel disenfranchised from the education process for many reasons. So they don't really feel as if they're a part of the education process, let alone their child's education, right? So when they're not involved or invested in what their kids are doing at school, they're not really involved or invested in what their kids are learning either. So that was one of the biggest things, reaching out to the parents, getting them involved with what the students are doing at school, and then out of that came kind of figuring out what they want, either the kind of relationship they want to have with the school itself, or what they want to see in terms of their child's education, and then having events that are going to kind of highlight those things, and then tailoring those events in such a way that's going to make them feel comfortable, first of all, with the school setting, and that will open up the door to creating relationships. And then second, Again, going back to making them involved in the planning process for things like that. So that way they have input and the relationship kind of develops organically. And also they kind of take ownership of the agency that they have within themselves, right? The other thing was, Mariah's awful, we discussed this already. Oh, on your individual campus was kind of, one of the teachers was talking about how they created they held an event, and the question was, where'd you get the funding for that event? Because it sounded pretty elaborate, revolving around Capanasada, I'm not gonna go into about that. But, and he mentioned that he organized with the other student organizations that are on the campus, and they were able to pull their funds together and hold this event that incorporated the parents and kind of shifted the way the parents saw themselves in relationships with the school that their children attended. So the other thing that came out of there was an actual committee, right, with no specific leadership. It's just kind of a collective bargaining process, I think was the term that was used in the class. But to find a way to implement critical multicultural content and mental lesson plans. So part of that process was developing the communication, and I don't know if we formalized anything either, but there were a couple of options being thrown around. The first one to kind of get things going was obviously going to be kind of like a mass email. And so we had that list for the teachers that were involved in that. But moving into a potential group meeting app where the conversation can take place, or like some kind of Google community, or is it called Google Community? It's called Google Community, right? And then one of the other discussions for that was to be able to create videos of these lesson plans and have them uploaded to the teaching channel. Is that right? Making our own teaching channel. Wow, I like that even more. I like that. And on there will kind of be the lesson plans that we want to see with more cultural relevance. And the other thing that came out of the committee was just trying to on your individual campuses to go back, and I think this speaks to any level of education, is to kind of go back and start finding like-minded individuals, people that kind of share your desire to see content like this push through, and then develop those partnerships within the school. Because I know for myself, it is a real challenge to even do that. Not only found one person, but even they were kind of backing off of the idea of Mexican American studies at the school level. But the other thing that came out, and again, this goes for any level, is just the idea of being honest with ourselves, that this kind of work is not popular to start, and you're going to get pushback from it, especially if you're in a school that doesn't really, support this kind of content. So for Mexican American studies, a lot of people don't necessarily like the idea, and it's more because they've never heard of it, right? So the idea to be honest with ourselves that the work we're going to be doing moving forward is going to be challenging, developing the relationships that we hope to see is going to be challenging, and just understanding that up front so that we hold ourselves accountable to the work that we say we want to do. And that's where the committee comes in. That was the committee's way of holding ourselves accountable to the discussion that we had today in that space. And that was pretty much it. Did I leave anything out? Those y'all that were with me in there?
Leo, did y'all designate chairs and committees, and did you set any timeline?
We didn't set a timeline, and I think I mentioned as I was saying that there's no specific leadership. It's going to be a collective issue. There are a couple of mujeres that are kind of taking the initiative to develop the communication process, but this is not, I don't see this being anything where like one specific person is going to be in charge of anything. And I think we all agree that's probably the best way to move forward with this. Because none of us are subject matter experts in any of this. We're all learning as we go still.
You know, one final thing, and I think this applies to all of the breakout sessions. Did anybody take the names of everybody in the breakout session?
We did.
Yes.
You did, so you have contacts.
Yeah, and I don't know if anyone else did, but for us, it's in the minutes that we took. Everyone who was in their affiliation.
Excellent.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
You want to come up here, or you want to go to the With a song like this, I believe that the entire feeling that we're supposed to have and walk away with is unity. If educators are to be centralized, then we believe their media outreach should be as well. If this is for us, about us, and by us, then we should control our own media and message. My team has created a statewide open source media network for MOS. We've already bought the domain name. We've already created the Instagram and Facebook account for social media. And Twitter. What we're going to do is we're going to have multilingual content not only to educate, but to also entertain, because we want the adults, we want the educators, but we also want the youth to be interested in what we're doing. And
Max,
yes.
interrupting you, but if you could state your name and also what breakout session you're in.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just assuming everybody knows about that. I'm Max Edmond. I did the media and the promotions outreach in Room 130. And there was only 8 of us, which was actually very refreshing because I wanted to keep it small, and I prayed for it and I got it. So the idea is that when around, we're very strong. Like I said before, not only education is going to go to our website, but it's going to be MOS relevant art, music, and writings, and also film. And we believe that all of this content is something that should be streamlined. We have all these organizations in attendance in this building here today. So we also believe that we should streamline all the MOS information statewide to one central website, which we will build. Our personal media spokesperson for our website, and I'm not going to name it, I'll get to that in a moment, is Ms. Sandra J. Torres. Our creative directors are going to be Sandra J. Torres and Eduardo A. Tobias. Our webmasters are going to be Greg Worthington and Silvana Avila. I will serve as a communication consultant and technical writer. Our agenda coordinators, which will also be dealing with the educators mostly, will be Lydia Garza and Tony Morales. And the rest of us in the room are going to be support staff with editing and writing and filtering content that will be posted onto the website. The thing we want to do, and I will email key people within the coming week, is we want to identify regional spokespersons per large city or area in the Valley, in Dallas, in Houston, in San Antonio, that are educators that can speak to the media on everyone's behalf when it comes to MOS-oriented programming. We will formally announce the website name and give all the information out to everyone on July the 11th. So if you want to make a note of that, to be ready to get an email from us, you will see it. If it happens to be in your spam email, you will know what it is by the name. And again, I'm not going to tell you. With that email will come a communication plan and a promotions plan for your individual regions, which you can tailor to your specific needs. You don't have to use us for everything, but we will give you the tools that you need to be able to reach out to the media in your area and do things such as earning your media, knowing how to network, identifying your target audience, unifying your message, and having organizational communication in your region or city. And also, the message must be clear that MOS is not just for us, it is for everybody. And I want to make sure that is very clear. That's Mexican American Studies is for all. We are also looking for our regional spokespeople to educate the media. And we would like to get a centralized statement once we reach out to you all. This way, the message is the same statewide. This way, we are all on the same page, and we can make sure that we do it the right way. I think that's it. Within a week, we will have our rules defined, and we're going to talk amongst ourselves to make sure we have everything set up to brand the site, create a logo, make sure that everything is being filtered into us. Y'all can still keep your sites and your Facebook pages and everything, but if you want other people to see it, and you want the media statewide to see it, we want to be your source to be able to do that. So thank you so much. July 11th will be the announcement.
Comisión Comuna de the High School Social Studies. I left my organized notes in my bag, I just realized that. But I'll go over one of the main things that just pretty much was going around, most of the conversation at the meeting was basically due to access to the content. A lot of people weren't aware of the website, weren't aware of what was on the website, and the fact that, not a lot of people know about it. And that kind of facilitated other discussions as far as like, okay, we noticed, we always notice it's the same people in the room. And also, we pretty much have that audience. But what's pointed out to me and to the group is that we should be in other places. And I had never thought about it. And so one of the major things I think we can do is that we need to get ourselves into like the Texas Social Studies Conference, and there's other conferences where there's teachers there from other parts of the state who never show up to this, probably never heard of us, but genuinely want to address their growing Mexican American population as we're spreading out throughout the state, in prairie and especially in the Eagle Center areas. And they never heard of us and wouldn't know anything about this, so we should be there, president and council, where they show up. They have meetings. We want to set up a stand, a booth, an informational booth. We want to do a presentation there. And some other committees were brought up that we should be at least informing, creating a flyer about our website to be handing out. And at the same time as handing out, explaining what is on there, what you can access. And that to me is, I think, going to be a major thing for us, is we're going to get the word out there beyond just people. We've been pretty much, when we come, we see the same people. And we pretty much got what we got. But we wanted to take it throughout the state of Texas. And this is one major step in doing that. They were also mentioned that each of these meetings have their own magazines or own publications. And they're always accepting articles. That's another way we can get out. Hey, we have Mexican American Studies, our students did this, a project, or even put some of the lessons on there for other people to access and slowly get out just to see everything into other markets and areas that we normally don't look at. And that was like, to me, that was one of the major things that came out of our meeting. That we created, someone's gonna help work, make a flyer. We're gonna put together a group to go to the conference. We're gonna look for help to be managing information as well. Another thing that was brought up was, and someone brought it up earlier, is our access to STEM. And a math teacher brought up the fact that a lot of testing is reading. And a lot of just showed reading, and what kind of things, resources can we bring? And a lot of this is related to the website that we already have and some stuff that we can do to the website. And this is stuff I'm gonna have to discuss with Chris, because I don't do any of that website design. What can we put up there? But I'll discuss with him. But basically just make it, maybe have a section for STEM articles about, Mexican Americans in math and engineering accomplishments. Maybe reach out to professors teaching some of this stuff, as Dr. Gonzalez pointed out, there's not a lot of research, not a lot of books published on famous Mexican American mathematicians with physicists, but they're there, they're out there. Maybe we could reach out, maybe, through this set of meetings, we could have video conference calls to your clients. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that can be done. And basically all coming through this one website. So we're gonna look into putting tabs there, and like we want to have more information. Anyone who has lessons they use and stuff like that, send it to us, and we're thinking of opening up maybe a wiki page for information for it, and then we need to come up with a committee to vet that information, make sure it's a good lesson, and then put it in it's broken up into first 6 weeks, second 6 weeks, put it into the right places to assist teachers, and just build that up so anyone can pick it up and go in, and I have to stay up for hours looking for content to teach in their classes. Make it super easy for somebody, especially a first-year student, teacher who's just come out, is passionate to do it, but doesn't want to, then immediately gets overwhelmed by having to put stuff together. It'll be there for them. So basically, most of the conversation we're all around how much access we can give to them. What can we put on that website to make it even more accessible? How to get the word out there of what we're doing, that we exist, the curriculum is there, it's easy, you can get it, it's all free, you don't have to pay for any of it. We did most of the legwork. If anyone's willing to donate more content, more power, email us and we'll We had to put it where it belongs, fill it up, make it feel. We're all here to see our children succeed. That's what we're here for. But whenever they succeed, as long as, they move on and do other things. So we just need to work together to do this. This is basically what we came out, was basically enhancing the website, but getting out there into other groups, not just the monster groups, getting out there, all groups, so they can all hear about us. And that's basically, that was the summer when we came up with, basically the social studies conference, I know for a fact is in October, so we're gonna be emailing each other as who can make it physically to go. And if anyone here, wants to help out, like, man a booth or, be there with any information about the website, we want them to take volunteers. And we're gonna work together to put together a presentation there with us there for anybody, and also have people from passing out flyers, making these connections to people outside of this room. So that's basically what we, came out of our section.
Did you set up any chairs or committees?
Basically, we assigned 2 people, and one of them already wrote out the STEM stuff they want to see. It was basically seeking out that information. And someone else is going to help us work on the flyer. And we are already putting together a little committee to go to the conference itself and present, and hopefully get some, we're going to ask for help for someone else to help us man the information with there. So that's pretty much what came out of our session.
Thank you.
My name is Lenny Smanda. I'm an instructor at Colorado College. I took over high school dual credit for literature and fine arts. Woo, what arts? So basically, we separated into 5 categories: literature, performing and fine arts, teacher, professional development, dual credit, and fundraising. For literature curriculum, we set a committee that's going to look into a master list of anthologies, basically building curriculums based off anthologies, where it goes, a list of authors, strong authors locally and statewide, leyendas, and creating also a media net where they can have resources to authors' websites. Also identifying community partners, like audio writers and other community partners around Texas. Also, for the high school level, we want to build a Chicano literature UIL competitions. That is the short-term strategies. And also a list of connections with museums and other places that store Chicano art and visual arts. For the fine arts curriculum, we have designated certain professionals, either teachers or instructors around Texas, that are going to build curriculum in dance, art, theater, film, building their own curriculum within musical hybridity, to danza azteca, to tejano conjunto, more like contemporary Native American hip hop. So there's going to be there's one committee, and they're separated to those categories, and they're going to make their own list of catalogs and will be disclosed as well. They're going to maintain that list. They want to present at college art associations. They also want to give awards to youth across the state and locally. As well, we're thinking of doing for each district teen poet laureates as well, to identify the students and give them scholarships and award. For teacher professional development, we created a chair. Want to connect with local community colleges and universities. Also set up a YouTube teaching demo. Create information on teach alignments and curriculum. The impact of mosque students, so getting those oral stories from first grade students. and present annual academic conferences. For the long-term goal is to create a literature review, create a podcast for teachers. At the dual credit, this is where I come in. We want to set up meetings with school districts around Texas. Have a book of proceedings for Moss and Fine Arts, store syllabi, and advocate for dual credit around Texas. And we also want to meet the School Board of Education for the advocacy of Moss and Fine Arts. For fundraising, we want to connect with district grant writers to bring artists and authors. Identifying their budgets and how we can have our own budget for them and artists that are willing to work with us, donors from around locally and state, access webinars for them and set up Twitter chats and Skype workshops for the students. Any questions?
No, but that's fabulous.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Viviana Saldana, I am an assistant professor in Mexican American Studies at UTSA, and I was co-facilitator with Jose Isnaga, and we facilitated or moderated the data collection and information breakout session. So the session focused on identifying who is doing Mexican American Studies in the state of Texas, whether it's elementary, middle school, high school, from pre-K to 12, and first of all, I want to thank the people that were a part of the breakout session. I want to add that we had librarians in our group, scholars, filmmakers, graduate students, MOS students, administrators, and MOS alumni. And so we all came up with a lot of great ideas. Everyone shared important insight in terms of how to implement Mexican American Studies, how to identify teachers who are actually key to implementing Mexican American Studies because they are the experts in making this happen. So we identified 3 areas of action. One includes outreach and resources, identifying resources in the community, in our schools. The other one pertained to financing a clearinghouse. And the other had to do with actually creating a clearinghouse where teachers, community partners, community educators, and parents could access. Because we see this clearinghouse as a resource not only for teachers, but for the larger community, including parents, right? Where they can actually access resources at grade level. So we did identify immediate priorities for each of the committees. So we did identify people or people who would be a part of these committees, who would lead the committees. And we also identified mostly long-term goals, but also short-term goals and also priorities. So the priorities that we have include identifying the teachers, identifying the resources in the community, and some of the ideas that came out of this discussion was including our MOS graduates. Some of our MOS graduates are actually teachers in the community, and they would also be able to identify teachers who may be incorporating MOS content into their curriculum or into their lesson plans. Another idea is that, idea that came up in the session was that our teachers are also very much overworked, right? And so instead of waiting for teachers to come to us, we actually have to make those connections with teachers. Teachers are overworked and they're exhausted. So one of the ideas that came up was having some of our graduate students, our doctoral students, research assistants go to the schools themselves and identify teachers who would be interested in implementing MAS, who are actually implementing Mexican American Studies, and who have Mexican American Studies, who come from a Mexican American Studies background. They have degrees, they have BAs, or they're working on master's degrees. The other is to fund graduate students to go into the schools and not just identify the teachers, but actually observe their classroom teaching and work with teachers so that we can implement lesson plans and curricula that are aligned with TEAC standards. This would alleviate, I think, the workload of teachers who are already doing a lot of work, and it would also benefit the students, right, at the university. And it would maintain a strong relationship between the university and the community and the schools. Another idea that came out was working with region, our local region, education region, right? In San Antonio, it's Region 20. And so tapping into Region 20 because they are connected with teachers and the local school districts. The other is identifying organizations. For example, Dr. Cordera talked about, for example, contacting GABES, which is the Texas Association for Bilingual Education, and they have been working on curricula. However, the curricula are not always accessible to the schools, or perhaps they need assistance in getting those materials to the schools, right? So another is identifying organizations, agencies, people who have these resources, right, that are not available to the schools or to the teachers yet. So that would be the task of the Outreach Resource Committee. And we've identified key people to be a part of those committees, that committee. Now the Finance Committee or the Financial Committee would be responsible for identifying funding sources, because in order to have a clearinghouse, we actually have to fund it. So identifying agencies, creating strategies to identify funders, looking for monies to digitize resources, and setting guidelines and deadlines. We're looking into deadlines and guidelines for these grants. The other committee would be the Clearinghouse Committee. The Clearinghouse Committee would be responsible for creating a space to house everything that's related to Mexican American Studies from pre-kinder to 12th grade across content areas. And so we have people who will be leading this committee and identifying what kinds of resources will be included in the clearinghouse, and they will be in charge of managing the clearinghouse. As of right now, we've only, to our knowledge, we've only identified one institution or one group that actually has a clearinghouse, and that would be the RGV, the Rio Grande Valley. And so I want to thank them for doing this work, because there's a model that we can expand on. And we actually spoke about building from that model that you've already established. So to our knowledge, it's the only one in existence in the entire state of Texas, because we don't have Mexican American Studies yet in pre-K through 12. We have teachers who do the work, who are incorporating this, the content, but creating a clearinghouse would enable teachers and parents and community educators and anyone who is in the community doing Mexican American Studies to access all of these resources. So that is an overview of what we discussed in our committee.
My name is Tony Alba. I am the sponsor of the Master Zones and Director of Montezuma Houses. And I facilitated the community session. So some of the issues that were brought up in the session were the integration of between the community and the schools, power of labels and identity, language and cultural denial, community input in schools and the choices that parents have, just a general disconnect, tension within nonprofits and community groups, parent involvement or the lack of parent involvement, materials and lesson plans available to share with our youth in the community, dual language programs dual language programs in Texas schools, the lack of teachers and admin that are culturally aware and competent, schools needing to embrace parents with helping write curriculum, awareness of identity and mixed cultures within the classroom. So some of the possible solutions that came out of the working sessions were reaching out to celebrities or heroes to back MOPS programming, whether it's through events or fundraisers. Resources need to be made available through Clearinghouse. Gather historical events, personal experience through the eyes of the elders in our communities. Connect to nature through historical stories and decolonizing, whether it's colonizing food, medicine, stuff like that. Reaching out to our elders to teach, to actually come back to the schools and come back into our community spaces to teach our next generation. Dual language programs implemented in schools or programs that are bilingual and have dual language. Community institutes to unite parents and understand movements in education and politics. Awareness and cultural competency brought into the communities and the neighborhoods to bring understanding of the status quo. Parent liaisons to implement into the schools, to be implemented into each school so that they can connect with the families and the community, as well as in the classroom. Community gatherings to teach narrative languages through dance, music, and food. And to bring other cultures into the community as well, to bring people together. Community escuelitas, to bring Guadalajara into the educational process, and along with that form parent panels to actually assist with the hiring process of our teachers in our schools. Utilizing your community members to help teach with the lessons and to involve yourself with the schools. And to bridge the gap between the community and the universities, and to have a liaison that would serve for that purpose, and to validate the student experience. So that's what came out of ours. We did identify committee members by city, and so I do have that list.
So I'm Lisa Ramos. I teach history and will be teaching Mexican American studies in the fall here at San Antonio College. I facilitated the political legislative session, and we divided up into 3 committees. So I'm going to go over what each committee came up with. One of the committees was working on increasing involvement with the general Mexican American community, as well as creating outreach to other cultural ethnic groups and organizations. So this particular committee, what they identified as their priorities were, first off, being clear, identifying a specific purpose and mission, deciding on a main message they want to put out, identifying a target audience and stakeholders, the parents, teachers, school board members, community groups. And to get into even more specifics, they want to create a writing campaign to the decision makers, such as school board members. They also want to run charlas as educational information campaigns for the public. They want to put these out on social media and broadcast media. And those were the sort of short-term goals they had. Long-term, they want to work on building face-to-face partnerships at the local, regional, state, and national levels. They also want to work on building transparency, making sure that everything we're doing here is easily accessible to the public. They also talked about helping teachers to build their professional development within the field of Mexican American Studies. And this relates back to some of the other breakout sessions. They also wanted to talk about creating that open source website, Clearinghouse, as Dr. Saldaña was talking about, to share all this information. And in general, they want to focus on being inclusive and mobilizing, whether it's voter registration, get out the vote campaigns, or any of the educational initiatives that we put together. So that's one committee. And yes, Juan, I do have a list of names, and I was going to ask you for that. So I have a list of names, emails, got that. Our biggest group was the General Legislative Strategy Committee, and this group, short-term, they want to get the State Board of Education calendar. So we know when the hearings on the textbook are taking place, so we know when other hearings are taking place, and they know that the textbook is not the only issue we want to focus on, but right now it's something people are passionate about, and focusing on that as part of the general legislative strategy is going to help build partnerships with other groups. So that's why they want to know when these textbook hearings are taking place and get that calendar. They also want to create some sort of umbrella group to coordinate all these textbook review committees. Because right now we have a few groups reviewing the textbooks, so they want one big umbrella group that can coordinate communication between all the textbook review committees. So we can talk about, should one group focus on emphasizing what's not cited well? Should another group focus on what are some of the cultural errors in these books? So we all need to be connected, all of those reviewing these textbooks. And one of the things they want to do is publicize these textbook critiques so that op-eds can be written. And another item they came up with was they actually identified 10 different organizations, and the 10 members within this group, each of them is going to work in reaching out to these 10 groups, and they're going to advocate for these 10 groups to create resolutions against the textbook. They also want to get the State Board of Education calendar schedule and the critiques to these 10 groups, so that way we can say it's not just us, it's other organizations that we identify, school board organizations, PTA organizations, and so forth that can work with us. So that was more about building alliances. Long term, they talked about creating a PAC so that we can have a group that can actually lobby and be working on this more full time. And they also talked about making Knox Tejas Focus a nonprofit so they can possibly raise funds. And then the last committee was working with the individual school districts. And so short term, what they talked about, well, one of the things they wanted to do is reach out to one of these groups, community breakout sessions, see what they came up with, and coordinate their ideas with that session. They also wanted to contact, I wrote here NASPA, N-A-S-P-A, is that correct? MASPA, I thought that was wrong. So contacting MASPA so that MASPA can write a supported resolution. And they talked about ethnic studies. They framed this as we need to not just talk about Mexican American studies, but we need to present this as part of a larger movement of ethnic studies and how what we're doing is going to affect African Americans, Native Americans, Asian Americans. We talked earlier during the session about how Momentum Instruction has actually got books on those other ethnic studies groups. So we need to reach out to them, let them know that's going out, have them write a supported, have MASPA write a supported resolution saying that they support ethnic studies, send these resolutions to the school boards. This third committee working on the individual school district level also talked about reaching out to LULAC, the NAACP, to let them know what we're doing and also to work on building these alliances, not just within the Mexican American community, but outside it. Therefore, that's why they mentioned the NAACP. Long term, they talked about providing information to school districts on ethnic studies. What are some curriculums? What can these curriculums look like? So this ties back to what Dr. Saldana was saying, is bringing this to them, not waiting for teachers to come to us, but saying, we've got it, we've gathered it, let's share it with you. So those are the main things, those are the three committees. Again, general legislative strategy, working with individual school districts, and working with just the general Mexican American community and other ethnic cultural groups. So we've got the list here. Happy to share those with everyone. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jenny Stevenson, and I am currently working for Teach for America San Antonio. And okay,
Someone have a question?
please come on.
I graduated with a minor in civil.
Why don't you serve?
graduated with a minor in China studies 5 years ago. Thank you. From Michigan State University. So I was able to understand sort of the Michigan and Midwest perspective of Beachy Bible and the stories that we tell. And I'm assuming that that story is a little bit different. So I was curious if I or anyone is able to audit your class or any other professors in the building right now. We're able to go and sit in and watch so that we can sort of relearn and understand the Texas perspective.
Your eyes open.
This is how would we do that? Where should I send money?
And I would say that many of our institutions are working on certificates as well. In Spanish kind of study.
Thank you. There's one last panel before we answer the question.
And you can tell that I was part of the elementary crew that took my notes and marker. So Chris Milk and I were in the elementary crew, and so there was a lot of great energy about how we can teach from this perspective for our youngest students, because we think it's important that their entire education experience is taught to experience it from this perspective. And so there were 4 different committees. 3 committees were kind of focused on this idea of supporting teachers in using MOS, the MOS lens in classrooms and schools. And so I'm going to talk through those and then hand it over to Chris. So there are 2 big ideas that came up about the idea of supporting teachers in using the MOS lens in the classroom. So one is resources. So to the best of our knowledge, most of the writings and some of the resources for Mexican American studies are geared towards secondary students, and there's less research and resources available that talk about the elementary experience specifically. But in the session, there are all these wonderful educators with these dope ideas, all this beautiful knowledge, and it's just currently not in a format that's easily accessed or shared. And so 2 groups are working on creating some resources with topics that are related to Mexican American studies that are developmentally appropriate for our elementary school children, resources that go along with that, and then aligning those to the teams. So for instance, in the group that I was with, we're thinking about using a framework called the 6 Elements of Social Justice. The first element is self-love and knowledge, so brainstorming a topic that relates to that. Names, right? I feel like a lot of our kids go to school and their names get whitewashed, changed, one of their last names gets dropped. So there's a book called Renee Colaco Has 2 Last Names that discusses that difficulty, and then you can align that to a team, because for elementary students, character analysis is a team that is perfectly aligned. So really doing that thinking and organizing it in that way, and capturing all the different ideas and knowledge that exists out there so that we can share it more broadly. And so we're on top of it. We got email, we got Facebook groups started, we got some articles shared, we got an initial deadline to read some stuff, so we're on it there. And then the other group, so 2 groups were working on that, and then the other group was working on supporting teachers through perhaps a professional learning community. So working to create some kind of group that connects like-minded teachers who are working to teach from a MOS lens or an anti-racist lens, because like I think Leo was talking about earlier, this work is really hard, especially if you're feeling isolated and doing the work, you need that emotional support. So creating that form, whether it's digital or in person, so that people can get that support, share best practices and ideas. And so right now, with both of these ideas, I think the focus is to first support the teachers who are doing the work or who want to do the work that maybe be overwhelmed and don't either have the resources or the support. But we do hope that we could really commit to this so that it could evolve into some more systemic change and can kind of influence ongoing teacher training and preparation efforts in our different cities and districts.
Yeah, I felt a lot with what Leo was saying, really connected a lot to what we were saying. So, Chris Milk from Texas State. One connection that we had there, though, was also a bit of a disconnect between who's teaching the teachers. And then once you become a teacher, how do you keep that energy going in the classroom as as we talked about, so well isolated in different schools. And so that's where I think this idea of wanting to create communities. And finally, also connecting to our own communities on our different campuses. And so that was sort of the final group, most definitely connecting with a community group. But we wanted to start somewhere, and where we found the greatest success were in the after-school program, something that was mentioned earlier. And trying to find really model after-school programs, but trying to think what is something that's not being currently done in the K-5. And in our group, we had two different theater companies that were starting, and that is barely starting to come out. But there is many opportunities for particularly bilingual theater companies to both go in and have the children learn about theater and present this most definitely, not only from the MAS perspective, but present from a community perspective. So the initial ideas were to create the list. There's one in San Antonio, one in Houston, one in Austin. Start bringing it together and start creating theater so that we can actually bring this curriculum into our own classrooms, present these to our families, and then start creating connections so that the families themselves are running the after-school programs. So hooking them first with theater, and then saying, well, you're the ones that are really in charge of the education of your children. What is it that you want, and what is it that you need in these after-school programs? And so something we're most definitely looking forward to after we created the committees, we'll see each other in a year. And coming back so that we can come back again, return and see that we're done.
Before we start the question and answer session, I'm just going to say one thing that we're actually going to meet at the next Knox that I spoke, which is going to be in College Station. I think it's in February, I'm not exactly sure the date. So we can also do a check-in as to what we've done to that point before we get to do this next summer. But we're in the next, we're part of next Knox that I spoke of. And so during our session and that, we're going to see where it's at. So sure, remind you, we'll send out emails to that effect. But we're going to turn this over to questions from the audience. So I can run the next.
Hi, great wrap-ups. One thing I noticed, there's a lot of overlap. So we've got these guys have already set up the webpage, the hashtags, the Snapchat, the Twitter, the Grindr, everything else, right? So they've already got that set up, and that's fantastic. However, we've also got other people behind us setting up. It would be nice if we could consolidate the efforts and have a united effort. And so how do we get the various efforts together using like what he's already set up, what everyone's already set up to get our efforts so we don't have all these variety all over the place.
Yeah, we'll work together. There's no reason we won't. We're not anything. I was whispering in Chris's ear a little while ago that the clearinghouse aspect of it is strictly for the educators. What we're setting up is to be able to inform the community and the people at large throughout Texas of what we're doing, and also keep it entertaining as well, and reach out to the youth and the parents, not only just the educators, and spread the word about what each region is doing, as far as events, but also to inform and inspire with the Mexican American Studies slant, everything we put up on the website. So just to be clear on that.
I mean, definitely, even if we choose to use theirs or we'll work together, we're going to link to each other's pages. It's not like we're going to be connecting to things.
And I agree, though, there should definitely be just one clearinghouse that could feed into and link with these special programs, but we should really be directing everybody to one clearinghouse that houses everything, publicity, promotions, curriculum, textbooks, studies, et cetera.
No, you're right. And we're all doing, that's one of the things we're going to talk about, is we are going to work together on this, so it's not an issue.
Next question.
I think it connects to what the gentleman just said, is how our work at the elementary level can support your work in middle school and high school and at the college level. So
I was thinking a way to align, everybody talked about curriculum, like what materials we can add to the curriculum that we're teaching at our level. But how can we align it so that way the students don't get jumbled up information, repeated information, that all the higher level thinking builds upon each other. And once they get into college, they've already mastered a lot of the information. So how do we get together as teachers to develop that curriculum?
I know in my group, the committee that's in charge of literature, they're identifying 9th to 12th grade. It's just a matter of our committee working with the other committees and seeing what they have on literature and anthologies. But our work and for my committee is concentrating 9th to 12th.
Well, from pre-K to 12th grade, it needs to be teach-ready curriculum that needs to be developed. At the college level, there's a lot of syllabi already for different courses, different disciplines that exist, and we hope to feed all of that into the central clearinghouse also. Dual credit that we have, college level courses, textbooks, etc. But for curriculum, pre-K to 12, as I mentioned, has to be teach-ready, and textbooks and instructional materials, as you heard Marisabel say today, it has to be 50% TEKS standard approved, as it were. So we hope to be feeding as we develop, because I know the UT and the Rio Grande Valley Coalition on MAS has developed already some history courses that are TEKS ready with text and instructional materials. We need to do that for all grade levels and develop the textbooks and instructional materials for all grade levels that we would then feed into this clearinghouse that we can make available, as they're saying, for all the teachers. And that should be right in line. I mean, the discipline, MAS discipline is pretty much in line, and it should be in line from pre-K all the way to university and doctoral settings.
I just want to add that one of the ideas that we had was to have people that the history would be that hard once we start getting information being brought in, and set different people that different areas, like this will be good for pre-K, this will be good for, and it just would be a matter of putting different groups to vet different information that's coming in, so that we can say, yes, this is good for this. So that it would just be part of it, as the website starts to get built, and we start to get this flow of information, just putting people together that can vet, this is good for pre-K, different groups, so that's one way of doing it.
And we're definitely going to need to work. And I was hoping that some things were going to come out of this committee, and maybe it is, and I haven't heard it yet. Curriculum committees for pre-K, working with teachers for pre-K that can get teach ready, and administrators that teach ready curriculum. We can get it from MAS and how it fits into the total studies. I haven't heard that yet. A committee, for instance, on developing textbooks and making sure that we have those standards ready that are 50% TEKS. I forget what the word she used, but you know that it's TEKS approved, it's TEKS standards ready for textbooks and instructional materials. We need a committee for that too, for all the different grade levels. So we've been focusing on high school courses right now, and just history and fine arts and literature, right? That you've been developing curriculum from the Rio Grande Valley Coalition. But we need that for middle school, we need it for preschool. So if there's people that are interested in that, please contact us or contact me personally. I personally am very much interested in pre-K, because I think that the earlier we get them to elementary school and get them to feel proud about their culture and their history and learn about it, the better they're going to do in schools. We have a couple of questions. So this person is next year, and then we're going to that person back there in the district.
Actually, it's not a question, but you mentioned LULAC. I am a member of LULAC, so you can give me your contact information. Thank you. Juan, I just want to thank Juan, because I think this is long overdue, and I do call myself a Chicana, and I'm proud to be a Chicana. Juan, thank you, and really, thank you. Emotionally, I'm torn because I was raised here. My parents or foreign Americans. When I went to school, not speaking a word of English. Can you imagine that? I didn't speak a word of English, but I'm good now. But also, remember, there's not enough fine arts programs. They do not fund fine arts. I'm proud of my son. My son teaches at Brackenridge High School, and he's the director of the mariachi program. He has written 3 books on mariachi music, 4 original compositions, and does a lot of musical arrangements for the best mariachi cantante in the world, which is Camperos de Mexico. Also, the Longhorn Band. And you know, that's about what, 300-400 members. He arranged Un Rinconcito en el Cielo. And I'm proud of him, yes. Thank you.
And thank you, and obviously there was a lot of people, a lot of organizations that worked in putting this together. It wasn't just me. I was proud to be part of it. We have another question here. I do want to echo, and I mentioned it earlier, the importance of the arts and literature for our students, and with this cultural focus of Chicano art, Chicano literature, and teaching them, it's so important for after-school programs for all grade levels.
Hi, in addition to addressing the TEEC, something that also needs to be considered is addressing the ELS, which is the English Language Proficiency Standards in our state. Because our second language students are mainly students who are Latino, Chicano, Hispanic, however they identify themselves, and their specific linguistic needs need to be included because they also need a platform to be able to talk about, express themselves, and understand their roots, both in English and Spanish.
We did talk about the elves in my community, and she has one part of the brain, and we're gonna work together. We're gonna bring in her idea of social justice curriculum with the TEEC, with the curriculum for elementary school. So we got you covered.
All right. Please send us an email and information. They have it already. All right.
I'd like to respond to one of the comments. Just on the adults, we do have a standing DAVE Knox K-12 committee. So we will be meeting at DAVE once again, and that is basically one of the things that we're working on is aligning both master curriculum within the bilingual curriculum.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm Victoria Valenzuela, and I've been a writer and teaching poet in the community for the Esperanza project, and in that project, I took my poetry writing to La Joya Middle School, and there I used Carmen Tafoya's poetry and Gloria Guerrero's poetry to teach poetry writing skills. And I had just come off the high, and maybe I never will come off the high of the Libro Traficante movement, and you might have heard that we were banned in Arizona. That movement, Tony Diaz created a book called Made in Texas, and I think we cannot forget the excellent curriculum that is already created there. You can probably speak to that. Oh, it was? Hardly. Exactly. But there are lessons that are based on American studies there in that book, created here by us, for us. Also, the Guadalupe Cultural Arts Center houses those lessons, like the one that I created for Tafoya Middle School and others that are also based with Mexican American studies. We can't forget those, and we can possibly expand on those. I just don't want anyone to think that they don't exist, because they do.
And please send us that information so we can upload it to the Central Clearinghouse, absolutely. Arts and literature. And don't forget música.
Well, in response to your question, but we also have it also some curriculum we've developed in Spanish and English for Mexican American studies for 4th and 5th graders. It can be used even beyond that. Isn't that right, Chris? And we're gonna be moving forward, writing some more. And the idea is basically that we're working with bringing together professional curriculum writers that are in the public schools, that are ready to work with content people at the university or elsewhere. And that's what we've done. I think it's easy to do, is you put together. There's a lot of, like I keep saying all the time, these are not big days anymore. We have people well positioned in different places that can come together. The key is to bring them together, put together curriculum.
Let's send all this curriculum to the clearinghouse. We're gonna put it together. Who's next? Right here. And then back there.
Okay, so I think it's very important that we implement cultural and artistic curriculum. I think it's very vital. Let's not forget one thing, that the students nowadays utilize technology, and technology is the important part of the equation. Digital storytelling, coding, the use of websites like Second Life. These are very important. This is the language that the students understand now, and we as educators cannot forget that students understand that language, and it's important to them. The other thing that's important is that legislators or board members need to include funding for technologies and access, because it's a very important missing component in a lot of the educational settings now. So I think it's vital to keep technology in mind.
Do you have something? Very important, the use of technology on our educational now. I think that's where we're at right now. And funding keeps coming up, and funding is going to be very important that we need to address. One person, a friend of mine, said that he wanted to start off a Mexican American Heritage Foundation to raise monies to fund projects like this for our education and our people, and I think that's very important, fundraising.
I would eventually like to see the connection between friends and families that have left the state of Texas, unfortunately. Their roots are here, whether they're in California, Idaho, Chicago, wherever they may be, and of course, even outside the United States borders. So it would be wonderful if, no, we did not grow up in the same culture, because we grew up in Texas, but my family is not all in Texas. So if somewhere, we need to make those connections.
Somebody want to respond to that? We had a person here, and then you next month.
Before we ask that question, I do have to make an announcement. We are going to have to be cut short. We're going to have to be out of the building by 6 instead of 6:30. So we're going to take, I guess, 1 or 2 more questions, and then we're going to cut to maybe these little refreshments we have outside. So just to let you know that that's the situation right now. We'll take 2 more questions.
Hi, my name is Veronica. I wanted to suggest that we submit to AERA coming to San Antonio next April, the big education research conference, to have this national platform to showcase MAS and what we're doing locally. And they have off-site visits that participants can come and observe something the local community is doing. But I think it'd be a great national, international platform to kind of showcase what this summit is putting into action. Just a way to disseminate the information, and I wanted to really appreciate what someone said about connecting it to a broader struggle in ethnic studies, and really highlighting the gender, sexuality intersections. Thank you.
Our committee also indicated that we wanted to show our appreciation to UT Rio Grande for the work they're doing. Somos más. The San Antonio community for showing great leadership for this. And I also want to ask for your recognition and good wishes to Dr. Angela Valenzuela, who is not with us today because she is in Tucson, she's getting back, and will be an expert witness on the Mexican American Studies case in Tucson, which is extremely important because, you know, Texas, if something goes wrong there, Texas always takes the food. So we would probably be next on the agenda to get it. So our best wishes, please, to Dr. Valenzuela, who's going to have a very stressful time this coming month. Gracias.
We are just up, we have one more, and then we're going to call.
Just a quick comment. So, my name is Eduardo Diaz. Was on the committee for the media and press. So, a lot of people have amazing ideas and how good their content made. So, I'm going to offer. I work with a company called Edge Films up in Mount Montgomery. We actually do all kinds of film productions. But one of the things that we highlight are whiteboard animation films for information, more like visual sound bites for information. And we also educate students on how to make films. So please, if anyone wants my contact information, I can get your questions on what type of topics you would like to cover and how to actually do the video. So you can go to one site, get information on how to properly make the video without having to find other resources so that you can use the same style, the same lighting, the same video technique that still gets your message across and makes it very professional. Because what we do here is going to impact so many people, but it won't matter if we don't keep sending the message outside of our own communities. So as long as we continue posting on Facebook and Twitter, calling our representatives and going outside of just your own community, you have to continue spreading the message. And that's with everyone's personal outlets. But that's just an offer. So if anyone wants more information, I can get ideas of what you guys would like. And when I go back to the office on Monday, I can make a list and start getting it out. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, first off, before we close out and go outside the little reception we have, I want to thank all of these session leaders for taking on the responsibility of I also want to thank the note takers who took all of the notes. On all the documenting that we need to do, document areas, you guys moved in. Thank you all for coming out. You have anything to say?
I just want a quick announcement. I wanted to let everyone know that Malta, in coordination with other organizations in the state of Texas and at the national level, are generating a petition against the Mexican American Heritage textbook. So I know that you have a portal, which is masfortexas.org. And so if you want to go on there, you can get more information on the issue and how you can participate in voting against the textbook.
Thank you, Liliana. All right, well, thank you very much for coming out, man. It's really
Can I say one thing, Christopher, before we close it out? We're gonna do our best. We have all these notes. We have a very good database that we collected here. Not as many as over 400 that have registered, but we have about a little over 200 people, which is a very good start to the database. So we're going to do our best to compile all this information, to centralize it with the clearinghouse, and to keep in touch with us so that we can, as we move forward, we can keep tabs and share information. This textbook issue is going to be very important. And I want to thank all of you. Let's have a big round of applause for all the people that came and are sharing on these communities. Now, our work begins again. We have people that are signed up as chairs and as committee members, and it's up to you to kind of move forward with that committee and do this work. And please, as you do this work, as we have successes and things get implemented, please let us know. Send us an email. We want to communicate with everything. So we have a lot of work to do, so fuerza y ánimo y gracias a todos ustedes por estar con nosotros y en esta lucha que es tan importante para todos nuestros estudiantes y para todos nuestros niños que son el futuro de todos nosotros, So thank you so much. We have a little reception planned out there for you, just a little there's still a bunch of, actually lunch boxes, because we thought we were gonna have more people, so please take some home with you. There's fruit, and there's café still, and there's some little chips and dips. Can we get a clap light together so we can close it out in Houston? Yeah. Someone's not clap, someone's not.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we please clear the auditorium theater area as soon as possible? Please keep it moving out to the lobby so we can lock the doors.